Mark, commiseration, you started brightly but disappointing in the end.
Yeah, very disappointing in the end. Look, you've got to match the opponent for their work rate before you can earn the right to play any football. First half, there was very little in it. We actually had probably the better chances in the first half, probably evenish in terms of possession. We look like we can go toe-to-toe with them and go and beat them, to be fair. They're open when we have the ball, but first half we were able to get Ellis in behind for a chance to go and get a clear sight of goal, and just dragged his shot wide. That goes in totally different game. What happened in the second half was that we got really disjointed. You know, we stopped running. They found it difficult to go and pick people up, to go and stay with runners and things, which is really disappointing. The first thing you have to do, the first rule in sport, in football, you got to stay with your runners, and they run. You know, they do run. But then the spaces appeared, and they ended up passing the ball. We got the ball back. When we got the ball back, we just went and marked ourselves, and we allowed them to foul us. We allowed them to injure Tatsu. We allowed them to do it without anything, you know, without any response whatsoever. So until Norman came on and left one on their goalkeeper, which was certainly not a yellow card. It was certainly not a yellow card. But the way that we went about the second half was really disappointing. There was a disconnect between the players in areas, so we've got plenty of work to do on that. And yeah, that's the disappointment for me. I thought it was a really poor second half after a quite an encouraging first half, to be fair.
Jack Stacey caused problems down the right, and that's where the goal came from.
Yeah, he did. We did it all game. We obviously had to make the change at half time. Tatsu's ankles not so great, so we made the change, and obviously it's a tactical game. You know, it is a tactical game, and the way we were positioned in the first half, and we were making those changes. Then, right at the end of the half time, was the news came that I had to bring Tatsu off, and obviously then there's a lack of time to be able to get the information into Efren. Although we've done the work with them, I think that had an impact. It had a bearing on what we did. I don't want us to be sat off. We gave them too much then, you know, in respect on when they had the ball. And we got dragged about, because then they start to lose the discipline in the positions, because we want to be on the front foot and winning games of football. And sometimes if they get on top, you just make sure that you don't concede and you get into a good solid shape. And we didn't do that either. So that's a disappointment. But then, like I said, there's a new group. There's a lot of changes there, a lot of younger players, and we've got to make sure that we do the work to get them up to speed and ready for an assault on this league.
You made 4 other changes there in the second half and changed formation. Did you feel that gave you a chance of getting back into the game?
Look, I think really when you do that, when they've got players over in midfield, you always run the risk. You've got to have the ball. We weren't doing anything really with the players in the positions and the formation that we were having. So 2 strikers going up front, you have to make sure that we follow up behind it and not sit off, and we didn't do that well enough really. Although it looked a little bit more like we could get something for a short spell, but I still wasn't happy with it. I didn't think that we had enough control. We couldn't get the control, but the legs were starting to go. You could see that all the players on the field were stretching. They got cramp. Their players got cramp, and there's a lot of running had to be done in the game, which is to be expected. You know, people aren't going to give you the points. You've got to earn them, and that was the real disappointment. The goal was a real disappointment, and the fact that we couldn't get back into it. You know, when we were trying and trying to get something of quality, because the quality wasn't great. Balls are bouncing up and down. It gives them a chance to come and press. They were bringing people down. I thought some of the fouls were a disgrace. It is what it is. We've got to learn from that, and we've got to do that. You know, if that's the league, you fight fire with fire first and foremost. It wasn't a performance that we can take many positives out of. It's always a difficult thing when you lose somebody in the dying hours of the window. But look, it is what it is. What we've done, we've brought in a lot of players into our squad that are really good players. You know, it's difficult talking about it at the end of a game where we've lost. It's a real disappointment, but we've got some really good players in there. There's been some significant funds spent. Doug King's backed it to the hilt, But what I would say is that we've got young players. You know, they are young players. They need all the support they can get. People have come in expecting us to be at the top of the division this year. You've got to be careful with it. You've got to be really careful with it, because if we don't, and we start to demand things of them when they're not ready for it, the wheels come off, and that's what will happen. So, you know, people have just got to be a little bit mindful when they're being critical or hypercritical. I think the support was really good today. I thought they stayed with the team. I think we've got a really decent squad, a really decent group that when they're on it, they can be really good. I think today, for whatever reason, they just weren't linking together as well as they have done. And they've proved they can do.
Milan, disappointing obviously today. What's the feeling in the dressing room?
Yeah, it's a bit the same like what you said. I think we should have done better as a unit, but yeah, games like this can happen, but shouldn't happen. But obviously, we move. We look at the good things that we've done, but also the bad things. So we just analyze everything and just move on to the next game.
The first half, you had chances, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a couple, but it's not enough for the quality that we have in the team. And like I said, I think we should do better with going after the opponent and creating chances for ourselves. But just it wasn't us today like we showed the last couple of games, and we should just do way better.
Yeah, and once they scored, they made it quite difficult for you, didn't they?
Yeah, I think the whole game they made it difficult for us, and the way they pressed us, the way they moved the ball, it wasn't that we couldn't get to them. It's just we didn't show like enough effort today to like really go after it and really try to win the ball. But we just have to move on and just see what we did wrong.
And the big crowd behind you, they did keep behind you all game, didn't they?
Yeah, there's always an amazing support that we get from the fans, and it really helps out a lot. But just wasn't going enough. Good today for us.
How do you feel about the start of the season? You had one win, a couple of defeats, a draw. How do you feel it's gone?
Yeah, we could have like ended this block with like a good result, and like we started off well with the games that we played, and we showed a good comeback after Stoke City, of course, against Oxford and Bristol. And then a game like today shouldn't just like I said, it shouldn't happen, because we were feeling ourselves and we're feeling good. And then how we come off the pitch, how we go on the pitch today, it wasn't us. And I think we spoke about it in the dressing room, so we know what we need to change and what's going to happen in the next game. So we just keep our heads up, and it's only early in the season as well. But like I said, it shouldn't happen.